Shout out to Tiara, even though she a little sick. You know, she left me up here by myself, but it's okay.
Yeah, shout out to
Cool.
Tiara. Shout out to John Bourne real as well.
Right.
Also, man, just shout out to Clarence, man, for getting this started, man. Big shout out to Mr. Brockett Financial Services himself.
Legacybrand.
Legacybrand getting rolling. So let's go ahead and get that out the way. Let's get this first question rolling.
Let's get the first question rolling. So what we starting with today, we're gonna make everybody feel a little comfortable. You got from the man's side of perspective, and you got it from the woman's side of perspective. So we're gonna start with today is what does it take for you to feel comfortable enough to show emotions? And we're gonna start this question for the girls. So,
Actually, and I'm gonna throw it back at y'all because I feel like we as women are emotional creatures. So it's like we just do whatever. So as far as men goes, what makes y'all comfortable? You know.
I mean, I could definitely kind of take on this question right. This is a pretty good question. So for me, a lot of times to feel comfortable with emotions, you got to be able to be vulnerable. You know, you got to feel comfortable being vulnerable around people, especially your friends, or if you're in a relationship with somebody. You have to be comfortable without being okay, and you have to have a level of trust in yourself and a level of trust in other people to know that when you tell them how you feel or you explain how you feel, that you won't be worried about how you're judged, or rather you will take that criticism and use it to grow and have gains. So I think with showing emotions, it's all about just being confident that you do understand your feelings and that you have to be vulnerable to get them across. You really can't hold it in when you really want somebody to understand how you feel, or you really want to show people how you feel. So always make sure that you're confident in yourself and you're confident in your feelings to explain yourself.
all right, I mean, I like that. I was thinking from the relationship standpoint. So I'm gonna just show it like for a man to show emotions. For myself, I think like we just gotta have the correct vibe and the energy gotta be going nice. You know what I'm saying? I can't just show emotion to him, put it like this, and I'm gonna say this from the straightforward. I can't show emotion to someone that I don't care about.
Thanks.
You know what I'm saying? If I don't care about somebody, I can't show emotion. But
Thanks.
if I do care about them, I can show emotion. But to bring it out of me, we gotta have a comfortable bond. Like everything between us gotta be good. I gotta make sure that if I do show my emotions to a standpoint that you will still look at me as the dominant figure. I think that's where that comes into the situation regarding a lot of men showing emotions just in general, because sometimes we feel weak if we show emotions, you know. Once again, that goes back towards it has to be towards the right person.
Yeah, and also just to piggyback off that, I think as men we gotta have self accountability of our emotions rather, because a lot of times we do utilize the environments we were raised in or situations we done encountered to use it as a standpoint to as why we are feeling that way, when in actuality you feel that way by choice. Right? You have the choice and opportunity to change how you feel. So when expressing emotions, just always realize you have control over that, and you have control over the ability to display them. You are affected by your surroundings and or your upbringing, but that's not the total aspect of why you feel that way. You have to come to terms to understand why you feel that way on the inside and address it. So having a little bit of self-accountability and awareness of your emotions, I think, is very key when expressing them too.
These are facts. I could agree with all that. It's definitely the key word is vulnerability and being able to have the desire to be vulnerable. I think as far as women go, like naturally we're just vulnerable creatures. A lot of men feel like we are too emotional and not logical enough. And I think that can be a blessing and a curse at the same time, because it's great that we're in tune with our emotions. It's great that we understand what we got going on. But again, it's that accountability piece. It's that, yeah, I feel some type of way, but I don't have to just express that just randomly. Like, I feel some type of way, ask myself why I feel that type of way, like what's going on within myself, so that I can better explain it to other people who are around me. But I think comfortability is about that consistency piece. Like, if I'm telling you something, like, are you gonna judge me for it? Are you gonna throw it back in my face? Are you gonna bring it back up? Are you gonna look at me differently after I take the time to just tell you like some off the wall stuff? So even if it don't make sense in that moment, like you giving me that safe space to just say what I want to say, and then helping me kind of work through it, or helping just by listening to me, like that consistency piece and being able to trust people with what you're saying is like ideal. Because I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of men aren't vulnerable with women, because we don't provide, I'm not even gonna say we, Most women don't. Because I'm not in that category. So
Yeah,
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. But I believe that most women aren't providing the safe spaces to allow that consistency piece, allow that trustworthy piece for men to say whatever they need to say and to be able to help them work through it. Because it's just like, once people say something, you off the rockers. And I think that just goes into, if you can't provide that space, man or woman, if you cannot provide that space to somebody else, whether you're in a relationship, whether you got a business partnership, whether it's family, like whatever it is, that means that you aren't in tune with yourself. Like, you can't be comfortable with what you got going on, so you can't help other people be comfortable in what they got going on. So it don't work.
Thoughts. So like when men show like women emotion, do y'all feel like it's like a sign of weakness?
Absolutely not. But I think that goes into the woman and your understanding of men's emotions. Because if you're not used to a man showing or expressing fear, or if you're not used to a man expressing sadness, like if you're not used to that in your mind, you just like, oh, I don't want you. Like, you're not a real nigga, you don't know how to control yourself. Like, that's not what the men in my life do, so I don't want you. But you have to understand that emotions are a thing. So it's like, if you are a man that is trying to understand your emotions or trying to figure it out, that's okay. You can do that together. But if you don't know how to control yourself, eventually that's going to turn into a downfall. So I don't think it's weakness. I think it's a strong point, honestly, if you are a man, because it's not something that y'all taught. Like, it's not something that y'all are learning once y'all come out the womb. Like, y'all are learning this late in the game. So it's like, if you taking the time to do it, great. But don't be trying to take the time to do it, and then, as we talked about, you know, off camera, like, you mad or upset about something, and now you taking your animosity out on me because you don't know how to control your emotions, or you don't know how to express it. So now I got issues.
Got me.
Right, I got a lot of issues with that. I've had a lot of issues with dudes where it's like they feel some type of way, but they don't want to say, I feel some type of way, or that hurt my feelings, or I'm upset. Like, you starting to be petty, and now we going back and forth, and I'm gonna treat you like a female because that's how you rocking. Like, if you gonna be open. We gonna talk, let's talk. We gonna figure it out, let's figure it out. But I think as a man, it's a strong point. You just gotta ask for help, or just ideas or techniques on how to actually do it appropriately, because y'all late in the game, unfortunately.
I agree. This rolls into the next question, so I'm gonna start from myself. From the standpoint, and it is, why do men feel vulnerable when showing emotions? Now, I'm not gonna answer for myself because I've been told I've been nonchalant, so I don't give off like emotions or whatnot. But I think the standpoint for a lot of men why they, you know, feel vulnerable when they do show emotions is because they're opening themselves up to get hurt. And I'm gonna be completely honest. It's a different way from when a man get hurt and a woman get hurt. Because when a woman get hurt, you know, y'all can, you know, double back. You know what I'm saying? Y'all can let it slide. Men, you got me. You know what I'm saying? That's it. But I'm done with it.
But why is that though? Like, take a pause. Like, why is that the case?
That's because we've never become comfortable with accepting emotions in a negative light.
Okay.
Like, we always taught as kids, especially, and it's not women that teach us this, it's other men that show no weakness, show no emotion. Especially when we play sports. I know a lot of us have played sports before. When you in a game, a lot of times if you hurt, the coach say, "Are you hurt? Can you play?"
Yeah.
You're gonna say yeah because you don't want to come out. Or in essence, it's like, for example, when you used to get a whooping, your mama say, "Don't cry, I'm gonna whoop you some more."
Yeah.
You suppress those emotions, and it causes it to build up on the inside. As men, we gotta learn to not only celebrate emotions in positive times, but celebrate emotions in a negative light too, because those are the things that help you grow. Like, a lot of times you'll see when somebody winning at something or somebody's being progressive in life, they celebrate it. But when something negative happens, it disappears. Like, you don't see that person being sad and they don't know how to handle it. So you have to become comfortable understanding that you have to be able to live through adversity emotionally. Like, you can't take all your highs at a high, and then when your lows come, you try to push it to the side. You got to take everything in stride, and that's a good thing that women do. Women address all their emotions at the door, and they go through those phases. Men, we allow it to build up over time, and then we end up having to address it all at once at a moment of negativity, and we explode. So,
I turn.
But I'm gonna say this though. I'm gonna say, like, when we building it up over time, it's like we want to lay everything out. You know what I'm saying? We want everything lined up. Like, it's like we going to court. Like, I'm gonna present you with everything on the table. Like a woman, y'all throw a little, you know, dish right there. Y'all let us know what's going on. But men, we wanna boom, 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 boom. This is why I did this. Boom, 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 boom. This is why everything been laid up to that foundation, to that standpoint. And once we show that, you know, we can open up to y'all, and y'all, you know, throw it in our face one more time, that's it, cuz we ain't with it no more. Like, that's it. Once y'all throw it in our face. So I think like for y'all at some point y'all can, you know, have some like reiterate it to y'all again. Us men, we can't have that. Once we let it all out, if y'all bring it back to us, that's gonna hurt us even much more. So the next time I said, you know, next time that it comes upon, she really got me fucked up. Like, she really got me fucked up.
It's so funny you say that because I literally am the same way. Like, I'm a internalizer. So literally, I'm gonna let you slide a few times. But if it keep happening, I've never been able to tell people that bothers me. So it's like once it build up and now I'm mad and I'm coming at you like, okay, you did this 3 weeks ago, and then 2 weeks before that you did that, and then now it's the issue where it's like, well, why you didn't say anything? And it's like, that's too much.
And
like
that becomes a problem.
it does.
Because you
It
have
really
to
does.
address it. Because me, I'm a different person. I wear all my emotions on my sleeve. Like,
Yeah.
I'm passionate about a lot of stuff. So usually when you see emotion come out, you can see it on my face or in my body language. I had to actually learn the inverse of that. I had to learn to channel some of that stuff because when you always do that and you show that emotion at that level, you scare people.
Yeah.
And people don't know if they can help you because they see how adamant you are about your emotions and what you do. So in essence, I think sometimes as men, sometimes we're too expressive in our emotions because we always feel like we need to be a strong leading figure in whatever we do.
Be right.
And sometimes you gotta step back and realize that you also need to have your emotions caught up too. You need to be able to feel comfortable to be a strong leading person. You gotta show moments of weakness to get there. And a lot of times dudes don't want to accept that.
Facts. And I think that goes into who you're around. Like, friends, who you dating, whatever. If you cannot feel that way, or at least you're trying in your mind to learn how to do that, and you can't do that with whatever female that you with, that's a problem. Like, that's something that you as a man or you as a female are gonna have to address with yourself. Like, granted, they could be a great person, but if they can't handle you emotionally or be able to work with you on that, that should be non-negotiable, in my opinion. Because, again, I'm passionate as well. I'm very emotional. I'm always thinking. I'm always doing something. But if I can't express to you whether it makes sense or not, and you always coming at me with, okay, you in your feelings, you doing too much, I don't get it. Like, you don't give me the room to, like, help me figure that out so I'm not in my head or I'm not overthinking or I'm not overdoing, it ain't gonna work. Because this is how I operate. Like,
and like I say, like, a lot of people go wrong with, like, when they event to like outside people instead of to each other.
That's
and then now you got like your homeboy saying, man, fuck that bitch. Then you got your homegirl saying, man, fuck that bitch. And now then y'all look stupid when y'all get back together. You know what I'm saying?
Because
so
everybody looking in from the outside.
So that's why y'all gotta. That's like why y'all gotta communicate everything together. Because once you start adding other people in, and then y'all talking shit about then next thing you know they see y'all out to eat. They're like, damn, this shit.
Because the standpoint, I ain't gonna lie, us as men, like. I won't say it's everybody, but when you know what I'm saying, and we with our girl, we want it to be powerful. So when everybody knows something that we going through and everything, and we back together, that relationship, like the strength of it, just diminish, because everybody know our business at that standpoint.
And that's why I'm a big advocate of not putting everything on social media. People gotta stop giving people the thought or the feeling of they inside of your life. Because people rather judge you on perception rather than perspective. They don't know what's going on the inside, so they using that to their advantage to plot downfalls on your relationship. And it's crazy that social media can control your emotions, and it's not even a real, like, tangible thing. Like, we be worried about who said something on social media about our relationship when we together on a daily basis. Like, we talking on a daily basis. We got control of that. So in essence, like, with emotions, you gotta be comfortable talking to your partner about everything, and y'all gotta be comfortable having the tough conversations to get those emotions out. And as men, we have to understand that in those moments, you can't be so tough. You have to become a little bit softer, because if you can't understand why you upset or vulnerable, you'll never understand why she upset and she's that emotional. So you gotta find those outlets to learn how to be more soft in your approach and understand how can we express our emotions without it being an argument, rather than it being something productive and understand the conversation.
It's not a bad thing if y'all don't have the conversation right then and there. It's not a bad thing if you just, all right, we're gonna talk about this later because I'm mad, you mad. It ain't gonna work.
So let me ask you this: why do women feel like they need to be much stronger than men as of right now? That's what I want to know. You know what I'm saying? Like, 'cause I mean, I think it's generational, built over time.
Absolutely.
But I want to hear from a woman's perspective. Like, why do y'all feel y'all need to be so tough? You know, why do y'all feel like y'all need to have nuts instead of what y'all really got? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so much that go to it.
And I'm gonna try to speak on On both sides, because I'm on the other side of the spectrum. And I think it goes into your household. I think it goes who you're raised around. I think it goes into who you're raised by. If you come from an all female or all women household, it's higher. If you come from a single parent, female household, it's higher. And I think it just goes into the context of what generations before us have taught. Like, you got to be independent. You got to make sure you got what you got. And I think it's great that we have been taught as women to make sure we take care of ourselves, to make sure that we not just depending on y'all to change our tires and to put gas in our car. Like, we need to make sure we know all the practical things. However, they never gave us the tools on how to still do that while also being open to relationship. So it's like, if you're used to doing all of these things on your own, if you're used to like figuring out by yourself, you're not going to ever have room or make room for a dude to be able to do it like for you. So I think it just goes into, that's what women are instilled in their mind. Like, this is what I got to do, and you're not doing it how I want to do it. And I think that's where the dilemma comes in at, because it's like we as women aren't teaching or coaching or telling y'all how in a way we kind of want something done. We just feel like it need to be done this way. You ain't doing it, I'm going to do it myself. When in reality, it's like, I ain't never know that you wanted that. I never knew that you wanted it done like that. Like, we never had that conversation. And so y'all aren't, as men, given an even playing field for the moment. But I think it just goes into, that's just what women are taught. Like, that's just how they feel. They need to move. They're not trying to have no other conversation because you're not being a man, or you're not doing what a man is supposed to do. And that goes into what is their definition of a man, right?
Yeah,
so I think it depends on the.
I definitely got.
Yeah, it depends on the female, but I think for me, you just have to be understanding of certain things, and it's just like, granted, as a woman, you have to have expectations, you have to have your desires, you have to know what you want, but you also, as a woman, we have to make it clear, and that's something that we don't do. So it's like, you as a man can't be meeting certain expectations that you don't know about. Like, you just don't know that we want you to do X, Y, and Z. And we have to give you the room to be able to do it. At some point in time, we as women have to say, I'm tired of being the strong one. I'm tired of being the independent one. I'm tired of doing this and this and this, and let y'all do it. However, if y'all aren't doing it, then okay, move out the way. But if there's somebody that's willing to try and figure it out, give them the room to do it. Like, we have to have that communication piece with y'all in order for it to work. Because y'all will never fix, which I don't know is messed up.
Exactly.
Why do y'all, based on what you just said, why do y'all tell men to move out the way instead of you just saying, fuck this nigga and I'm finna go about my business? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Let me help you out.
yeah, like, let me go, let y'all go about y'all business, because y'all, you tell the man to step away, and I seen it time to time with my family, just in general, like the women in my family, like, y'all want a man to be done, but y'all always letting him back in. When does it come a standpoint when y'all would just be like, I'm not gonna deal with him no more, and I'm gonna go about my business?
They love ain't shit.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think
But
what women
I
like.
think it's always, again, emotions, when you care about somebody and you love somebody, that's a different thing. That's what that's tied into.
Like,
Like,
put it on the front. Like,
you can't,
gotta put it on the
because
front.
when you move to that point, a lot of times women are saying that out of frustration because we not doing something right, or we not seeing their vision. Now, granted, that's a two-sided thing. Are they showing us this vision in a clear light where we can comprehend and understand? And then two, are we receiving the message to understand what we need to put out? It's a two-way street. And as men, we also have to understand that when we get to, like, for example, when we get sick, we become the biggest babies in the world. We can be tough all week long, but as soon as we got a little cold, we go to the corner and ball up and expect our woman to take care of us. But our woman can be laying in bed like sick as a dog. Some women, like even women, be pregnant, and the significant other will feel like, oh, you'll be all right, or you tripping because you're doing this,
I just talked to somebody
emotional
about it
because of
yesterday.
this.
Yeah.
Fellas, stop trying to be so tough in one moment, and then in the next moment you the softest thing in the world. You gotta have balance too, to balance her out. A lot of dudes don't express that level of balance emotionally to help their partner, especially with their significant other and a woman, to become stable and balanced in what they need to tell you need to do, because you don't get them a middle ground to stand on.
Can I trust you with what I'm finna tell you? Like, can you actually do what I'm finna tell you to do? And I think that's where women who feel like, okay, you're not doing what I need you to do, I'm gonna do it myself, comes in that. To where it's like, I have taught you, I have told you, I have given you some type of picture, and you still not doing what as women we expect men to do. You're still not doing what a man is supposed to be doing, so we don't need to be having this conversation no more. Like, I'm finna just move on. But back to your your question, I think it just goes into the cycle in your mind. Like, you feel like as women we will give multiple chances, and that's our downfall. We will continue to fight for something that don't even seem right, or we just believe we gonna change somebody, or we just believe that eventually they're gonna get it together. But it's like, at some point in time, you have to have that self-worth in a way to where you know, like, this is not what I need. It's not working for me. I can find somebody else. Because if people think about, we've been together for this long, we might as well keep it going. Or we got kids. Or I don't want to learn. Or, I don't want to date no more. I don't want to start over. And it's just like, all that don't even matter. Because if you in a relationship with somebody that's not working for you, why are you doing this?
And then also for the fellas too, we gotta learn. We gotta change our habits and behaviors when she let us back in. We excited about getting let back in, so we continue the same things we was doing before, but we don't change our habits.
Woo!
Fellas, you gotta actually change your
Come
habits. And I'm speaking from experience too, because I've been that guy. Like y'all go through some stuff, y'all get back together, y'all get back on the good
Players
foot,
laughing too
and
hard.
you
I'm
return
nervous
back to
over
your
here.
habits. You gotta learn to address your habits and correct them for that woman to
Yeah.
continue to gain trust.
Yeah.
Or if you lost trust, to reinsure that trust and she can trust you to do something. And then another thing too, back to that question about what a real man is. Every woman and every man in society's definition of a man is different. So
Absolutely.
you have to be the man for that woman, whatever that looks like. You can't be a real man that the next person considers a real man, because that might not be her definition of it. So in essence, you gotta figure out what works in that situation, how emotional available you need to be for that woman. Because a lot of women are strong. Like, for example, my mama, she's the toughest woman I know. Absolute toughest woman I know. But I've seen her become vulnerable in certain situations, and I'm like, man, like, if my father could understand that, he would be able to help. But he doesn't, so he can't. And I done seen vice versa. I done seen men be truly emotionally available for a woman, but they do derive that as something being soft or being emotional. Coming from a light-skinned dude, I can't express emotions about being soft because then I'm acting light-skinned.
Yeah.
But in essence, I'm just letting you know I'm in tune with my emotions, so I'm comfortable telling you how I feel, whether I'm hurt, whether I'm sad, whether I'm indifferent, or whether I'm happy, whether I'm joyful, or whether I'm on a level that I feel like I'm in a good place. As women, sometimes you have to kind of take down that cycle of what a real man looks like in essence, and create what your definition of a man looks like, and then see if the person that you're with or the person that you want to be with fits that mold.
Yeah,
a lot of times we forcing the pressures of what a real man look like, and everybody's definition different. How can I be the real man that you want me to be, but I don't fit that level of quality?
You don't even know what real man you want.
Yes, and just in general, they're not in line. Themselves, they're not in line with that with what they want. You know what I'm saying? It's a big disconnection. We got a question. Mike, can you tell us the question? For somebody on Facebook right now that just asked us a question, and this is for the fellas. What's the question?
Lord help Jesus.
It went away?
Shout out to Mike over there, man.
Okay.
Support.
Whoever asked the question, please ask it again.
Yeah. I think the question was why is it hard for men to man up and understand when they need counseling?
Because by definition, this is actually a good question. By definition, a lot of times with men, again, from the time we come up, other men tell us not to show emotion or not to show weakness. So therefore, when you tell a man he needs to go to somebody else for counseling, it creates an impasse. We've been taught all our life, and it becomes an unconscious thing. It becomes, oh, I'm not going there because I don't need nobody. In essence, you telling us to man up and let it go, but in essence, you want us to be comfortable enough to go to somebody to talk about it. And that's what created an impasse on what we need to do. And one side, you telling us to man up and be strong, but on the other side, you telling us to man up and go to somebody and ask for help. So now we kind of stuck in limbo in between. But I agree too, we as fellas, we do need to become comfortable seeking counsel, and not only from other men, but from women. We have to learn how to become emotionally available sometimes, you know?
I think based upon that situation, when it comes in the terms of counseling, it's very toxic. Whatever standpoint that y'all in, it's a toxic thing because it's a lot of disagreements. But to the standpoint of letting, I think what happens to a lot of men is that once they want to let somebody in based upon how they feel with the relationship that they know nothing about, that's very difficult because as men we've been taught to, keep this in from within ourselves, don't show it, you know what I'm saying, and hide it. But once you let somebody in that doesn't know anything about it, their perception of what we're going through maybe based upon the love that they feel, the person feels, the counselor or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not based upon, that's not true with what everything that's going on. Now, I seen, shows where the counselor take, somebody's side just based upon, like, first 3 lines. But they don't know the depth of what we've been through. So it's a whole bunch of dysfunction towards letting somebody else in and knowing, hey, this is what's going on with me. This is why she makes me mad, this and this and this and that. And then some like, standpoint, how we hear things from somebody like, dang, bro, you tripping. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But y'all don't know everything else that's going on. Even if we tell you everything that's going on, you haven't been through what we've been through, so your perception ain't gonna relate to what we're going through at all.
And it's also channeled by your circle, your inner circle. You gotta have friends that's willing to be able to tell you, hey man, I think you need some help, or not just say, hey bro, you tripping. Like, you need to be able to go to your friends as a man and say, I need help, bro. Can you point me in the right direction, or can you help me? A lot of times we keep that stuff away from everybody, and then when it floods out, it's an outlash of a lot of different emotions, and it becomes incomprehensible to what we want to do. And that's what a lot of times we do need to seek counseling as men, but again, as the predetermined circumstances happen, we've always unconsciously been taught to not show those things and not ask for help, because most people feel like as a real man you should figure it out. And there's sometimes where you're just not going to figure it out because it's not something you can see because you're inside of it, as opposed to somebody taking a holistic view from the outside and simply showing you where they can change that outlook that you have. So as men, we do, yes, have to become comfortable with seeking counsel from others, but as society, we have to come to understand that you have to let go of the stigma of what a real man is and placing it on all men by your definition, because your definition is different from every other person. So just always take that into perspective when asking why won't a man up and seek counsel, because manning up isn't seeking counsel in most people's eyes. It's building that strength and then figuring it out on your own.
That's a good perspective, because even as a mental health professional, like I've talked to plenty of men who feel like they don't need to go to counseling just on the presence of, I don't know this person. And granted, as women, we're more open to being like, well, I don't really know them. That's easier for me to talk to somebody because they don't know me, and I could just do what I need. But I think as men, there's a sense of safety, there's a sense of consistency, there's a sense of trust that y'all need from the gate, to where it's like, I'm not comfortable going in somebody's office who I do not know, whether it's a black man or not. And that's another thing. There's not a lot of black men that are counselors. So a black man is going to look for a black man just like a black woman is looking for a black woman as a therapist. Like, y'all are delayed. That's a horrible word to use. I don't have another word to use, but as emotional beings, y'all are kind of just getting on that level to where y'all can trust each other, y'all can trust family, and now it's like we want, as women, y'all to just go ahead and trust a random stranger, and that's not going to be the case. So that way, as women, if you want somebody to seek counseling, you have to put it in the presence of, like, do you have a mentor? Is there a pastor you can talk to? Like, is there a coach that you still close with? Like, what other logical or wise person can you as a man go talk to get the counseling that you need? Because we have to understand, y'all are not gonna go and pay for a group session. It's not gonna happen. Like, it can happen later on, but that's not what's gonna happen. So counseling from a therapist, a licensed professional, cannot always just be the only option, man or woman. Like, there has to be other people that you trust that can give you the unbiased and call you out when you need to be called out. Like, but we have to say it in a loving manner. So I do, and I appreciate that perspective of being, like, manning up is not the same as going to counseling. And my question for y'all is, since you guys are learning how to be emotional beings and figuring that out, how are you helping your generation and the generation under y'all change that mindset of, like, what emotions are for men and how to do it and how to talk about it? Like, how can y'all help men kind of figure that out now?
I mean, like, that's with mentor groups again. Like, my group of friends, Corey, shout out to Corey, shout out to Jordan, shout out to Boo, shout out to Tim, shout out to all the bees, shout out to all them boys. But a lot of that, like, you have to talk to your friends in a different manner. Like, a lot of times we be uncomfortable saying, I love you, bro, or dang, bro, I want you to win, or man, dog, I miss you, bro, I miss hanging out with y'all boys. Men have to become comfortable expressing to other men the love that they have for their friendship and their relationship and their bond. And a lot of times with my group of friends, we text each other every day and send motivational messages, inspiring texts. And the women do too. I know Mia, Jai, and a couple of others, we in a group chat together. And every morning, like, we send out like an inspirational message or just reminding somebody to keep going and doing well. So as men, we have to get the younger generation on being comfortable expressing emotion too. other males. Like, 'cause like when we grow up, we get like I don't understand how men feel like they don't get the emotion from a woman because they get it from their mama. Like your mama is like you, well, especially me. I'm a mama's boy myself. I won't lie. Like I go to my mama for everything, and my mama has taught me to show, hey, if you hurting, you need to say something. Like don't be afraid to be in pain, and don't be afraid to feel indifferent. But you do have to address it. It comes from we don't receive that from other men in our life, and that's another thing. Corey actually told me something very cool. Corey got his nephew on Jason. And he was explaining that, like, his niece, like, she'll give him a kiss on the cheek when she leave to go to school. And he's seen that his nephew said, you know, I gotta let him do the same thing because he has to be comfortable. This is my nephew, so I want him to understand it's nothing wrong with that because I love you as my nephew, and I want you to understand you're no different from your sister, and not look at it as being something that's look wrong or deeming it to be something sexual. A lot of times men have that thought process, and they don't allow themselves to be available as a man to another man. So again, teaching the younger generation that it's okay to love your brother, it's okay to love your father, it's okay to show those emotions of love like a normal person would, and it's not any type of aspect or stigma on it that is something wrong with it. Be comfortable doing that.
Like when it comes to the situation of like dealing with kids in the aspect, since I deal with a lot of like the mentorship, first with me, I make sure I break down to them like who I am, make them feel comfortable to make sure that we can relate, because I can't go in a room and, you know, asking a child these questions and I know nothing about them and they know nothing about me. So from a standpoint of, you know, making them feel comfortable, I let them know like the same things that they go through, the same things that we have been through, especially while we was younger, because it's no different. The only thing that's different now is it's more social media for them to grasp to. But in the standpoint of that household, you know, most men, you know, at least 75% of us are raised in single woman households. You know, no father. So us showing emotion, we from the kid, we already at a standpoint. We need to be tough. We need to, you know, we are the men of the houses, and that's what they bring upon us so young. You the man of the house. You know, you gonna be the man of the house, so you can't show emotion. But for the kids, when you break down to them like who you are and the things that they go through, and tell them that you're no different, especially of a standpoint if you're a professional, then they definitely it's gonna be a disconnection, because the most kids that we are around are kids that, you know, are in bad circumstances or the less fortunate. So, you know, showing them that who we really are outside of the professional aspect, they are more comfortable with opening up to them with us and presenting us, you know, everything that they go through. Now, in the situation of, you know, us being in a relationship, you know, with a woman, I think it's just, you know, over time and building the connection and everything. That's how we allow ourselves to be more open. But from a first standpoint, and another thing is that who we love, just in general. And then when it comes to the standpoint of our friends, you know what I'm saying? Like we have to have the right crowd around us. We have the right crowd around us. You know, we can sit down and have a conversation about, you know, everything that's going on. We can do that. But without that type of stuff, we can't do that at all.
I'm just shooting some of your steins over here to my boy. He giving us the time. Hey Mike.
How much you got? 35.
So,
all right, cool, no problem.
So we still going. We still got a good amount of time.
All right, and then I want to ask you this for the women. How do y'all like for men to express feelings in a good way?
Again, every woman is different. We got to make sure we disclaim that for people. We all agree on this panel that all women are different, all men are different.
Yeah.
I think it's necessary, and I myself have to do the same thing, for you to have these conversations with your friends and whomever you're dating. If you aren't telling them, they're never going to meet that expectation or do what it is that you like, or stop doing what you don't like. I think expressing emotions in a healthy way, I think the most thing with men, I'd have to say from my personal perspective, is your anger or your frustration. It's cool that you got it. I understand it. It's a natural emotion / feeling. Like, this is what happens. I think where the disconnect comes in at is when you aren't comfortable with just saying that something bothered you, or you're not comfortable with saying, like, that actually hurt my feelings. Like, I didn't like that you said that, or that I feel some type of way about something because I've had an experience where I was having a conversation with somebody and they really was upset about something that I've done that I did not realize was bothering them. And then it came off to where it was like, you know what, I see where you're coming from, and I'm trying to find a solution, and they too busy trying to tell me that I'm wrong.
Correct.
So it's like, I think that's another aspect of men that I've kind of had negatively, where men like to be right all the time or seem right. Like, it's not conscious in their mind to where we both could be wrong and we could both try to figure it out. So it's like, I think sometimes And for me, I think I'm way too emotional, and I'm an internalizer to where I take stuff really personal, to where if I'm trying to figure it out and I'm trying to find a solution and you keep trying to tell me like, you wrong, I'm right, I don't like how you do that, X, Y, and Z, because you are a dominant figure or you're a stronger person than I am, I'm mad.
Yeah.
It is gonna make the conversation worse. So I think as men, like when it comes to your frustration or your anger or you feel some type of way or you feeling hurt or mad, sad about anything, I think you gotta learn how to use your words. Learn how to use your words and let it be known, like, I didn't like this, I didn't like that, whatever. And don't try to belittle somebody or dismiss somebody or demean anybody. Women as well, like we have a good tendency to dismiss people. We can demean y'all, we can be very, rude and disrespectful from time to time. So I think just in general, okay? In general with people, like when you're upset or you mad, if it's not the time to say it, slide to the side. Like, all right, I'm gonna let you have that moment and I'm gonna come back. Like, I'm gonna take a walk or something. Mm-hmm. But I think you have to be mindful of that, using your words. And if somebody is taking the time to be accountable in their situation, like, be accountable if you've messed up as well. Don't make me feel like I've only been wrong and I need to fix it. When the reality is, like, we both messed up. Like, we can find a common ground. Like, let's find it. Let's, give each other grace and then move on. But I think y'all gotta learn how to use your words, because it's just correct. You mad and y'all flying off the handle. Now y'all cussing. Now you calling me out my name, and then now you trying to come back some weeks later, friend or dating. You trying to come back and have a conversation. I still feel some type of way because you like get over it. Like, I mean, it is what it is. No, it ain't.
As men, like we don't carry over a lot of that energy. Like once we express how we do feel, a lot of times it died right there. Like we done exploded and that came out. Now it's okay, now we back to ground zero. Now I love you again. But as men, we gotta learn to not only listen to understand, listen to learn is a big thing I use. Like we gotta listen to learn, but we also gotta learn to respond to create understanding. Like a lot of times we only responded because she's saying something, instead of listening and then say, okay, I understand and this is what I'm saying. Because a lot of times, like Josh said, we both could be wrong or we both could have valid points, but we just missing each other, so it's a miscommunication. So fellas, listen to learn and then respond to create understanding. I think that's the biggest thing, especially with your emotions, because you have to be clear. Like, because with men, like a lot of us are direct and a lot of us are more so straight to the point with it. But you got to understand, sometimes that direct answer doesn't explain the whole picture of why you upset or why you angry. So always make sure when you respond, you create a level of comprehension, so that way your significant other or your friend can grasp why you're upset or you're in that mode, and they can help you fight through it, or you guys can come to a mutual understanding of what needs to be done.
Yeah, I myself, I've, like, in the past or whatnot, I have spoken before listening. And I think that was the biggest miscommunication throughout the whole time, because sometimes at a standpoint, I was like, I done added all this up, and this why I feel this way, and I don't care what you saying, so whatever you saying is just going out the door, because I don't care about this is how I feel, and you respect it. Instead of listening to what the woman is saying and learning over time, this is what I need to know. This is what she's saying. Like me, I'm big
He laying down the law. He doesn't know what it was.
And look, I'm laying down the law. I'm doing my hand justice and everything. And now I'm coming off so aggressive to a point that it's breaking her down.
And now I'm shut down.
Yeah, women, it's gonna be a little miscommunication for a little while. She hot. She gonna want you to say sorry, and when you say sorry because you wasn't listening to anything she said, you gonna feel like, okay, I'm gonna just say sorry, and look, she still got me fucked up. That's what it's gonna be.
And I can say I'm the same way, like Clarence, like me. I'm a big person. Like, be direct with me. Like, tell me what's wrong. And that's also another problem we have as men. We think we can fix everything. Everything don't need to be fixed. Like, sometimes she just needs you to listen so she can get it off.
But we gotta tell y'all that too. So that's the other side. We gotta tell you, like, hey, this ain't nothing to fix.
And I deal with it in my relationship now. I've dealt with it in past relationships. I will try to drag it out. Like, I would literally try to drag out what's wrong, and I might be the problem. So I'm like, dang, I done got her so upset to the point that she done went out. Now I'm mad because she said all these things, and I done made it worse rather than help fix the problem. So understand, like I said, listen to learn. Listen, 90-10 rule. Listen 90% of the time, respond 10% of the time. That way you know what you need to do. I use that at work because a lot of times people don't know what they want. They're going to come in here and tell you something, they expect you to find it for them. No, I want you to tell me what you need, and I'm going to lead you into the direction to what you think you want and what you may actually need. So use the 90-20, use the 90-10 rule, fellas. Listen 90% of the time, respond 10% of the time, and a lot of times those responses that you'll get will help you be there for your woman or help you be there in your friendship to understand what you need to do.
just this gonna be the last question we'll finish off with, and it's what ways do you use to show emotion?
Me, man, you know me. I'm a joke, so I like to laugh, I like play around. I mean, and then too, I'm a person that believes in positive energy. You know my steeds. I'm big on spreading the positive love. So I like to text people and just give them like nice compliments, cause that go a long way, especially when like a lot of people, we do walk around feeling underappreciated. Cause a lot of us, we get up every day and we work hard and we do a lot for our people. Unknowingly, like just your presence in somebody's life is a great thing for them, and they don't even realize it. So tell people like, hey, I appreciate you for being my friend, or hey, I'm there for you if you ever need anything, or hey, keep going. Like I text Clarence, I text Ajay, I text John, I text all of them. You guys are doing amazing things, and I want you to understand that it's people there that care about you, that want to see you do well. Don't worry about the outside noise. But now in anger, for me, the way I express emotions, like I've learned to, when I'm angry about something or I have a negative connotation about something, I self-analyze first. I have self-accountability. Why do I feel this way, or what did I do to play a part in my feelings? And then I attach it to the situation. I'm like, okay, I see where I could have been wrong here, and I express to that person like, hey, I see this in this situation. Tell me if I'm wrong and or I'm not, and then how can we fix or work towards getting past this, you know? Because a lot of times you don't want to address what you've done wrong. You want to address what the person done wrong. You want to tell them what they've done wrong. You don't have enough self-accountability to say, all right, I played a part too, so, and I'm upset, and this is the way I choose to feel. Because a lot of times we'll be mad about something, and the other person won't even be upset.
Correct.
And you don't even know why they not mad. You just so mad, and you want to make them mad about what they not mad about. Instead of just having a conversation, creating a clear thought process, and then saying, all right, let's talk about this. I was upset that you did this because, and I want to know why you're not upset. Maybe your direct response to action was the reason why they so nonchalant about it, because they didn't look at it that way. You just did. So always be aware. Be aware of self-accountability. Like that's a big thing I like to preach. Self-accountability. What did you do in the situation? Why do you feel that way? And now let me bring it to the table to see if your response is the reason why I actually feel this way, rather than me tripping.
Yeah, see, I'm not gonna go into depth like him, but when it comes to me showing emotion, when it comes to me showing emotion, I joke around, I give compliments, and I mean, I'm still a work in progress, but because I haven't, thank you so much. Let's clap it up for me right quick. But I was clap it up for more walnut, ladies. But as a man, I didn't see love when I was young, so it was hard for me to grasp it. Like my first relationship, I didn't know the small things that women like, but understanding now what women like, I do like let's go watch the sunrise, let's do a little small picnic, and you know what I'm saying, I'm giving out a little dating tips, so for y'all guys, so for y'all guys who's not doing, you know what I'm saying, go watch the sunrise, cook, every once in a while, go do the little petties, go get your little petty done with cause women like that, that's when they gossip and relax. So those things, I'm understanding, that's what women like. More of, speaking to them, they like time and everything. So us as men, we got to learn how to, spend time with women and just let them know how appreciative we are of them. Now, that's from the relationship side, but, even with my partner, you know what I'm saying? I believe that, I lack that sometimes just because, I be so focused on what I'm doing. But when it turns to us, like, really sitting down and the times that I do get, I sit and have a conversation, you know what I'm saying? Let them know everything that's going on. I show emotion. And, if I want them to do better, I show them a standpoint of, what I laid out to them, it's what you can do better in, and I'm only doing this because I really care for you, you know what I'm saying? And I want you to see you to be better. Like everybody who I hang around with, I want them to be better than who they are.
Exactly.
So that's just me.
Exactly, man.
So the end answer your question.
Lady in the room. How do you express emotions?
What do you do to express your
emotions?
And I also have I know we about to end. I got one more question before we end it. It's gonna be real short. I think
she's giving out her number.
Crazy. How do I express emotions? I am surprisingly to most people, I'm a very big loner. I like being by myself because I think those are times where I can really check in with what I got going on. I think a good way to express emotion, I think, is just really being mindful of, again, like your self-accountability of your own personal emotions. If you know a conversation is getting too much for you. Some people like to sit in that and then be mad, and that's they ammunition to kind of get it going.
Correct.
No, that's not a good, healthy way. It's not smart. Like, if you feel some type of way and you cannot have that conversation, chart it for another day. Or if you are scheduled to have a conversation, because I know it's when we do that sometimes, like, hey, let's meet up, let's talk. If you know that conversation is taking too long and you need to talk sooner, reschedule it. Like, be in tune with what you need and what your emotions are to kind of figure out how to best work through them. And you have to also, again, be aware of where you went wrong at. It's not always the other person's fault. It can sometimes be you. It can sometimes be you as the problem. It can be you as the issue. You need to fix it. You need to apologize, whatever the case may be. Another thing I like to do is if something bothers me, and I'm learning how to do that because I don't like conflict, I don't know how to handle it. I am literally trying to figure that out as the days go on. But if something bothers me, I'm learning how to approach the conversation in a way where it's not like I'm coming at you sideways. Like, if I feel some type of way about something, I'm asking you. So, like, I had an issue with a friend of mine, and I did not like the comments. It was triggering me. So I'm like, okay, she don't know I'm bothered, so I can't come at her sideways like, I'm sick of you talking whatever, because she don't know. Like,
I'm finna check you real quick.
Okay, like,
so
sis would have been really crazy. Like, she was
Yeah.
looking wild. So I had to approach her like, hey, we good? And she like, yeah, what you mean? And it's just like, from her perspective, it was just jokes. From my perspective, it bothers me because I got some other stuff going on. So it's like, you have to approach your conversations in a way where you're still respecting the person, but you're still making it very clear that you don't like something
100.
and can tell them what it is that you need. And then another way to express emotions, you got to know what you need. Like, you have to check in with yourself to say, I don't like that, or I do like that, or I need somebody to listen to me. I need somebody to hold themselves accountable. I need somebody to, whatever the case may be, whether you dating or friendships. Like, you got to know what it is that you need. But I think as women, we have to stop using the excuse of we're emotional creatures. I think we also have work to do with our emotions. Sometimes we're too emotional, and sometimes we may not be emotional enough. We have to learn how to use our words as well, and I think it just goes into understanding that some people just not like you. Like, I love emotional intelligence. That's my thing. That's my avenue.
Yeah.
Everybody not like that though. Like, as you said, I'm still learning, or I lack certain things. Like, some people just don't know how impactful emotions are. Some people just don't know how to handle it. Some people don't know what's good and healthy ways to express yourself. They don't get it. So it's like, you have to give people the understanding or the grace to say, okay, well, you didn't know, so let me tell you. Or let me help you out. Or let me show you what you can do. Like, you have to be willing to tell people that, because then if you gonna cause more of a problem, because you know that they got an issue with their emotions. You know they don't know how to handle it, and you still being mad, and you still just, chucking them off to the next person. Now the next person gonna be pissed off because that was your opportunity to help that person out. So
That's right. And those emotions carry too. A lot of times
they
like,
do.
Emotions carry. Like,
be
you
real,
ever
be
ran
hurt,
into somebody
be mad.
that was mad about something and they exploded on you because
Yeah.
they weren't even mad at you. You just caught what was coming from another person.
And that's funny you say that, because sometimes we have to realize things aren't personal. And I had a recent issue like that too. I had to think in my mind, like, you know what? They going through some stuff. That age ain't for me.
Yeah, that is.
But sometimes it's very hard to get there. Like, let me be very clear.
Yeah.
It take you a long time to get to that mentality, because in that moment, I really wanted to let us have it.
You got me
Exactly.
messed up.
Okay, like, you
Sure.
really tried it. But in my
Mhm.
mind, after the fact, it was just like, you know what? I know that really ain't how you feel.
Yeah.
But you gotta know people as well. Like, you gotta know your friends. You gotta know the people around. Like, if you know they got some stuff going, and it's not an excuse. If you know they got some stuff going on, and it's like, I ain't like when you did that, and y'all could just, chop it up a little bit and just move on. But other times, people be with the shits, and we don't have time for that.
And you gotta pay attention to the comments of your friends.
Yeah.
Again, some emotions you can see and you can feel.
Yeah.
It'd be a lot of sucker energy in the city, and a lot of times people don't even recognize it. It'd be their homeboy that's really the one that's pushing it out.
Mm-hmm.
You just be so caught up into what you're doing in life. Your homeboy giving you the most sucker energy in the world, but you too busy trying to separate yourself.
Yeah, some truth to the
And
comments.
you gotta learn to separate yourself, to
Yeah.
elevate and understand. Look at other people's emotions towards you to kind of figure out what's going on in your life. Like, cause a lot of times people will claim you doing something wrong, or people will claim you doing something to them, and it's absolutely not that way. They just don't like what you're doing, and they want to be a part of it, rather than saying, hey man, I would like to be a part of that. Nah, you excluding me from doing this, or you making me feel like I'm not a part of what you got going on. So pay attention to that when you look at your friends, or you look at your associates, or just social media in general. Everybody claps ain't for you. It's just a moment where they like, okay, he reaching that level, or she reaching that level, I'm gonna clap now. But when they fall down, I'm gonna make sure I'm the first person to step on their back.
Exactly.
So you gotta understand, watch other people's emotions towards you too.
Yep.
Everybody ain't real, everybody ain't authentic. Shout out to Born Real for real too.
Yeah,
First
gang,
and foremost,
gang.
first and foremost, that's because I like being a brand ambassador for Born Real.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm big on authenticity. Be who you are all the time. Like, don't
Exactly.
change for people. Don't, like, I hate when I see somebody on social media and I know them in real life.
Exactly.
Like, don't play with me. I know you for real. And like, when I address you as such, like, again, so, like, a lot of people use social media for entertainment.
Yeah, correct.
That's cool, but understand, outside of that box on Facebook, outside of that Twitter, outside
I know
of
what
that
you got going
on Instagram, outside of that post, I know you and you know me. And that's like, be yourself. Like, you ain't gotta change for me because I'm nobody.
And that's, I mean, this is what I'll talk about. That's the hardest thing that I had. You know, when at first, I'm like, okay, let me do the professional aspect. And I was just like, you know what? Because, you know what, dealing with the financial side, I was like, you know what? I could be myself and just people grasp to me, you know, who grasp me. I ain't got to put on the image for this person. I know, like, for my personality right now, I'm not no P. Diddy person, you know what I'm saying? But I can make P. Diddy money by doing it my way. By being myself, you know what I'm saying? And that's what everybody like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Even with in the industry, the rap industry, you know, Jeezy ain't gonna never be a P. Diddy, but he can make that type of money, you know what I'm saying? But you gotta be yourself, you gotta be real with yourself at all points, because if you're not, it's gonna mess you up. It's gonna come back.
I got my job, that's why I talk hood. I'm hood.
Because you're gonna be yourself.
Because everybody respect authenticity, and I hear a lot of people say that real is real. Real is not rare, fake just extraordinary. Like it's
Wow, can
crazy
you
to
repeat
me.
that for the people?
Like, once again, being real is not real. There's a lot of real people out here. Being fake just extremely extraordinary. Because it's amazing to me that somebody can put on the front 24 hours a day, knowing they not like that, and then live with it, and then actually believe it.
They do.
As opposed
start
to
believing
just
your
being
lies.
themselves and living their life normal. You have the ability to control who you are
We saw
every day of the week.
we saw with 6ix9ine.
I see people that allow people to be something that they're not, and they start to believe it. Like, that's why I'm big on perspective as opposed to perception. Because you can look like a lot of things, but boy, when somebody actually can see the perspective from the opposite side, things start to look funny in the light, and now people judging you based off something you done put forth that you didn't even have to show.
I'm gonna tell you this, me being in the financial business, off topic, me being in the financial business, I know people who got 50K followers, but background in their financial side messed up. But the internet give them this image.
They do.
You know what I'm saying? But alright, that's off topic. What's the last
So
question?
then, how can we create more spaces like this? Because that is literally my motto in life, to where I feel like even just with emotions in itself, I think that people men and women who are friends, who are dating, who are whatever, family, doesn't matter, there needs to be more ways that we can have conversations like this, to where it's not judgmental, to where as a man you can say, I don't really know how to handle my emotions, or as a female you can say, I don't know how to handle my emotions. So how can you create safe spaces like this, or honest spaces with men and women to kind of...
Well, first off, you got to get the right group of people. You got to have a mature enough mindset to have a conversation and not look at it
you
being personally attacked. You got to start again, self-accountability. It start with you.
And it takes two if you're in a relationship. So you got to want to do it, and they want to
Tell them to. That's Mike Tunes, y'all. Just want to let y'all know. He said take two.
The cameraman Mike Tunes.
The cameraman Tunes is all of the Born Real support system. I'm sorry, Legacy Brand support system.
Yeah.
Holla at Tunes for all your needs. But other than that, like, yeah, man, in order to create, like we had a conversation party back in February, right?
March.
Yeah.
Shout out to that. I'll probably have another one.
And that actually kind of segue into what we got going on today.
That is the
This
reason.
is how things
Look at that.
This is how things transition and happen. When you create an environment for a healthy conversation, it spawns inspiration to other things. And then now we sitting here with a podcast talking about emotion. This is a conversation we actually had during the topic party. And again, I know Ja was talking about this during the end of the year. Me and her had another conversation about that. But just having avenues for people to express themselves and not be judged in a negative light, you got to have the right group of people to do that. People with common sense, people with the mindset of, I'm not better than the next man, I'm not better than the next woman. And honestly, people who want to fix their problems and or things they're not comfortable with themselves about. You feel me? So it's all a mindset of talking to the right people, creating the right group, and putting the plan in action.
I just feel like people just don't know themselves. You know what I'm saying? People are really lost because what they weigh so much is the perspective of other people on them versus their own perspective of what they're doing. And when you don't know yourself, everything that you do doesn't have the correct reaction. You know what I'm saying? So for people itself, you have to know yourself and know what you can do and know what affects you
Mhm.
and know how to give it off in a positive way. But so many people are caught up on social media, for example. You know, everybody else telling them, "Oh, you wrong. Don't do this. I don't understand why people do this. I don't understand why people do that." But you have to understand why you do it.
Mhm.
And once you can do that, like, you know what I'm saying?
And you gotta wanna understand too.
You gotta want to understand. You gotta be real with yourself, like, bro, come on, I'm wrong. You know what I'm saying? I'm not right. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I say, like, once you have a certain system like social media and everything, you gotta watch what you say sometimes, like, because it can offend somebody else. Be Simone, you know what I'm saying? Like all that stuff, you know what I'm saying? You have to know who are the people that's listening to you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing. And don't hide it.
Because people
But
like,
that's another thing too. You can't, cause the people who looking that don't determine how you still live your life. 'Cause
Yeah.
you
Correct.
Still gotta do you.
Cause they're looking at you for a
what
reason.
you opposing to.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
it's-
you're an idol, but you got a life too.
And that's the thing, you gotta realize, knowing your audience is big.
Knowing
Knowing your
your
audience. Knowing that no matter what you do, you always under a scope because people are looking to either see where they could be inspired by you or they looking to drag you down. So you
Mhm.
gotta kinda know your audience. Be mindful of what you say, but be firm on what you say. Stand on what you say. Because a lot of especially during this time in a global pandemic, a lot of people being put in front of a camera and they just going off their emotion, not realizing they actually need to formulate what they saying
Correct.
to not offend people or to not hurt people. Word to be Simone, because like look what transpired from when she said that up to now.
Mhm.
Things have changed drastically for her in her life. Now, granted, she may bounce back. She may use that as a platform to step forward. But in those times, those are times where you have to understand your audience and know, like,
Exactly.
a lot of your audience works a 9 to 5 and get up and go to work. You're an influencer. That's why, like, the life of an influencer is one where you should be the most understanding because the platform that you sit on can easily be taken away because you're influencing people. Once you're not influencing people anymore, you lose what you have. So you have to always be understanding, be mindful, and be concise in what you're saying to people.
These are facts. Okay.
All right. Well, that'll wrap it up. Catch us next Saturday, same time, 9 a.m. We'll drop the episode. Shout out to all the businesses out there, especially small businesses, just in general, Black-owned businesses as well. We got more stuff coming for you all. Y'all keep doing y'all thing, and we out.
Yes, sir.